Hey, good morning. Good to see everybody. My name is Kelly Dixon, and I'm honored to be the Master of Ceremonies today for this distinguished presentation. And at this time, I'd ask everybody to please stand for the posting of the colors by the CBP Honor Guard. Remain standing for the national anthem sung by Mr. Stan Moran and the invocation delivered by Pastor Mark Frischman.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Present. Arms. Order. Arms. Right turn. March.
Let's pray together. Lord, we're thankful for this moment. Thankful, Lord, for your blessings in our lives, for your protection in so many obvious ways, God, that we see you. And Lord, obvious times, there are so many times that you're guiding and directing us that we just don't even see. I thank you, Lord, for the men and women in law enforcement that really reflect your grace and your goodness, your justice, God, your protection, and ultimately, Lord, your love. And so I pray for our time this morning as we celebrate the work and the career, the impact Munshi has had in law enforcement around this country and around the world. but also the impact that he's had on this community, the impact he's had on his friends, his family, and his church. I thank you, Lord, for how you've used Kai. I thank you in advance for how you will use him in the future. And Lord, we thank you for Sherry and for Caitlin and for Sierra. Bless our time today, and we ask these things in Christ's name and for his sake. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. So thank you to the members of the Honor Guard, to Stan, and to the pastor for your blessing on the ceremony. Thank you for everybody coming, man. It's good to look out and see all the friendly faces and the people who have been here before us and moved on. So very jealous of the positions that you're in right now, but thank you all for coming to honor the deputy as we're all here. Again, my name is Kelly Dixon. I work in training management operations. And again, we want to welcome everybody to the retirement ceremony for FLETC Deputy Director Kai Munshi. On the stage this morning, from your left to right, we have the Director of the Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers, Benjamin Kari Huffman. Of course, the guest of honor, and the reason we're all here this morning, Deputy Director Kai Munshi, and the Associate Director for Training and Operations, Ms. Ariana Rodini. And before I go any further, I want a special welcome to the deputy's family, his wife Sherry, and his beautiful daughters, Caitlin, Ray, and Sierra. Good to see you guys this morning. I also want to take the opportunity to acknowledge the rest of our guests that we have here this morning, our elected officials, our Glenn County community members, our federal partners, the FLETC family, personal friends of the Deputy Director, and all those who contribute to the continued success of our organization. And a special welcome to our congressional staff representatives, Ms. Kristen Fulford from the Office of the Senator of Raphael Warnock, Mr. Blake Stevenson, and Mr. Emmett Nolan from the Office of United States Representative Buddy Carter of the Georgia's 1st Congressional District. Welcome, and thank you guys for coming. And finally, as I said, a welcome to our entire FLETC family. It's good to see everybody, and it's good to look out and see, as I said, see all the familiar faces. And I know the deputy appreciates everybody coming here today as we take the time to honor him as he should be honored. I will say one thing that the deputy asked specifically, that we keep this as light as we can, try to not, in his words, not mine, he don't want this to be a stuffy event. So everybody relax, take a breath, and enjoy the moment. Because this is a time that we honor and celebrate a long and distinguished career. So we're going to try to do that the best we can. At this time, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, the Director of the Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers, Director Benjamin Kari Huffman.
Good morning and welcome. Glad to be here. Before we get started into my prepared remarks, I got a few unprepared remarks that may be scattered throughout the process. But this event, I wish you had seen the evolution of this event, because it started when Kai said, "Hey, I'm going. I don't want anything. I want nothing. I'm just going to go," and then there was a little bit more. I don't think it was his idea. I think he was kind of forced into it. But nonetheless, we appreciate. So it went from nothing to, there's not going to be any dancing horses outside, but we were close. That's good. Wasn't quite like that. But anyway, it's a great event, and I do appreciate you letting us honor you the way you deserve to be and your career deserves to be, despite not wanting to do it to begin with. So I thank you for that. It's kind of a running joke when I first got here, because every time me and Kai, when I first got here, I showed up, me and Kai were almost wearing the exact same outfit every day, and it was kind of probably embarrassing to him, but for me, if you know the Secret Service, the federal law enforcement world, the Secret Service guys are always known for being the snappiest dressers, right? I mean, they always, if you know the Border Patrol world, we're not known for our fashion, outside the uniform looking very sharp. So the fact that I was dressing like Kai, I thought, I'm in the big time now. I've got it all going on. And then by coincidence, we did not call to match our outfits today, but here we are. So that's just the way it goes. But anyway, I appreciate that. I don't know who I'm going to match clothes with going forward, because me and Ariana are not going to dress the same, I am pretty sure. I'm pretty sure we're not, but you never know. Anyway, thank y'all for being here today to let us celebrate Kai's remarkable career. It's a great career. I want to start by saying a special welcome to Sherry, Caitlin, Ray, and Sierra. We all know that behind every strong leader, there's a great support system. And if you know anything about Kai, he is deeply dedicated to his family, and he will not for a minute hesitate to tell you how, without the support of his wife and his 2 wonderful daughters, he would not be here today. Sherry, Caitlin, Sierra, thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice, because I know there's been sacrifice, being the spouse of a man dedicating himself to public service. And thank you for sharing your husband and your father with us for all these many years. Thank you very much for that. It has truly been a pleasure working with Kai. On a daily basis, he demonstrates an exceptional ability to lead, inspire, innovate others, and let's not forget, entertain, because that's what, and everyone that's working a while will realize that he, someone that can take a serious situation, keep it serious, but keep everybody real about what they're trying to do and what they're trying to accomplish is Kai, and that's an important leadership quality as well. Kai is a United States Marine Corps veteran who has served honorably in both the enlisted and officer ranks. That's a highly respected accomplishment. Kai served various assignments, and we're going to hear later on from one of his fellow Marines today, JP. I'm looking forward to hearing those remarks. However, just want to qualify that. We want to hear the real story. We've already heard all the ones where he was a hero. We know about those. You know, everybody's a hero in their own story. We've heard those. We'd like to hear the real story on those, so I appreciate what are really going on, so that's good. After Kai's military service, he continued serving as a United States Secret Service agent, then as a senior special agent at the Department of Justice Office of Inspector General. Next, he came to FLETC as the Chief Security Officer, and then he was the Assistant Director for Technical Training Operations, and finally, as our Deputy Director here at FLETC. Kai has dedicated his entire adult life to public service. From his time as U.S. Marine to his career in law enforcement, he always put service before self, and he never left anyone behind. Most importantly, Kai has street creds. That means he has the respect of his peers for having been there, done that, and while there, always displayed a commitment to take care of his people, and that's the way he leads. In my opinion, the highest honor that can be bestowed upon a leader is to have the respect and admiration of the men and women who they lead. One example of his care and concern for the people at his time here at FLETC was during the very challenging years of COVID, or the COVID years we call them. Kai was instrumental in keeping the FLETC staff and students safe by securing the COVID testing early on and then later the vaccinations. To this day, he is often referred to as the COVID czar, a title he probably wants to shed, but probably not going to happen. So remember, repeat COVID czar often as y'all see him when he retires. Also, thanks to Kai, other training academies around the nation, different law enforcement organizations, were looking to FLETC for what was working and how to them to keep their training going, because that was important as well. As the Chief Security Officer, Kai has led numerous emergency operations during hurricanes and weather events. That's probably why he's leaving, right at the beginning of hurricane season. Kai, that's a little disappointing for me that I never thought of you being the first guy off the Titanic instead of the last, but fortunately for me, you have left behind a great staff that you have trained up, and so I am confident we will survive hurricane season more difficultly without you, but without you, so thanks for that. No, seriously though, Kai also guided us to develop the first ever full-scale tabletop exercise with the regional law enforcement and first responders in the state of Georgia to ensure that we are prepared, equipped, and able to work together in the event of any type of emergency at FLETC Glencoe. We are better prepared today to do those sort of things because of Kai's efforts. He took care of the workforce by championing the Employee Wellness and Residency Program with the formation of employee associations focused on healthy physical activity and work-life balance. His love and respect for the men and women that have served in the military has never wavered. Under Kai's direction, FLETC partnered with the Department of Veterans Affairs to support FLETC Glencoe staff and their student veteran population, resulting in over 600 veterans receiving one-on-one counseling and service from the VA healthcare and benefits representatives. Although there are many more accomplishments in his career, I primarily just wanted to focus on those that I talked about where he took care of his people. That is the hallmark of his career, and that's who he is as a leader, someone that takes care of his people. Kai's impact reaches beyond his professional achievements. Many in this room know him for his integrity, collaboration with the staff and partners, and genuine care for the well-being of his colleagues and the trainees here. When you ask colleagues to describe Kai, they describe me as this way. He's a mentor, he's a friend, A man dedicated to his family comes up at the very top of that. Someone who listens, supports, and encourages those around him. Kai, that is something to be proud of, to know that's your reputation, that's your street creds. As Kai steps into retirement, we must continue growing and expanding the priorities he began. We must also follow his example of listening, mentoring, leading, and encouraging others. Kai, your contributions, ideas, strategies, and how you care for others have left very big shoes to fill, and you have set a very high standard, and we're going to endeavor the best we can to make sure we maintain that standard. You know, recently at a social event I was at, I had the pleasure of meeting some of the FLETC staff in an informal setting, and Kai had already announced his retirement, and the announcement was out looking for a new deputy, and so I took the opportunity to just engage with some of those folks, and it was people from staff members to instructors, all levels, and I said, so we're looking for a new deputy here at FLETC. What do you think I should look for? Every one of them said, we just want another Kai. That's what we want. That's who we need, and that's what we want here. And so, you mean that's powerful and that's meaningful, because that's type of admiration from as I said earlier, that type of admiration from the people you lead is the best type of accolade to get in anything. So I really appreciated hearing that, and it gave me good guidance of what to go for. There's nothing about being both wearing the same clothes that didn't come up in the conversation at all, so that was good. Kai, you were the right person at the right time. You have laid a strong foundation with the support needed to guide FLETC as we move forward as the nation's premier law enforcement training centers. We wish you all the best in your well-earned retirement. May the next chapter in your life be filled with excitement and new adventures. In closing, on behalf of the FLETC staff, our students, partners, law enforcement friends, and other stakeholders, thank you for your years of dedicated service, your leadership, your commitment to excellence, and most importantly, thank you for taking care of our people. Please join with me in giving Kai another round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. This time we're going to ask the deputy to join the director in the center stage. And as we start the presentation of the official accoutrements. So Deputy Munshi is held in high regard by senior officials throughout the country and the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, as the director has already mentioned, and a distinction noted in his letter personally penned by the Honorable Alejandro Mayorkas. So I'm going to read the letter as it's presented. It says, Dear Deputy Director Munshi, on behalf of the entire department, thank you for more than 28 years of extraordinary service to our nation. It is my pleasure to award you 8 hours of administrative leave to be taken. Wrong letter, I'm sorry. So you leave behind a legacy of excellence and dedication to the many trainings, criminal investigations, and security operations that you led across the Department of Homeland Security, Securities and Exchange Commission, and Department of Justice, and the United States Marine Corps. And from the start of your federal career as a Marine in 1996 through your most recent role as the Deputy Director of FLETC, where you oversaw 127 partner organizations to ensure administrative, security, financial, mission support, and resource management programs, your commitment to the department's mission through the exemplary leadership, law enforcement expertise, and excellence leaves an indelible mark upon the department and the people whom you served. And notably, your tireless efforts to manage law enforcement training divisions and to ensure the security and protective missions of the President and international dignitaries have been critical to the department's mission. And I am immensely proud to have worked alongside of you. Our nation is indebted to you for your outstanding career. Thank you again, and I hope you enjoy retirement. Sincerely, Alejandro Mayorkas. Next, Director Huffman will formally present Deputy Director Munshi with his official retirement letter. And it reads,
I held off on that till the very, because I was
Dear Mr. Munshi, on behalf of the Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers, I extend my sincerest congratulations and best wishes upon the occasion of your retirement from federal service. And as of June 29th, 2024, you will conclude a 28-year combined military and civilian federal career during which you provided dedicated service to the United States. From the start of your government career in 1992 to your most recent assignment as Deputy Director, your noteworthy accomplishments and positions of increasing responsibility have strengthened our country and aided in the security of the American people. And we are truly grateful for your service and for your many valuable contributions, which have demonstrated a high level of personal initiative, professionalism, and dedication to public service. And as you conclude your career, you can take great pride in the achievements and dedicated service to the people of this nation. In a tribute to your service, the U.S. flag that accompanies this letter was flown over the U.S. Capitol, which, that's, yeah. May or may not. So we did run it over to the PTD building and run it up the flagpole over the track and flew it for a couple hours yesterday. So in tribute to your service, the U.S. flag that accompanies this letter was flown over the U.S. Capitol and the PTD building on behalf of your colleagues and friends to mark the occasion of your retirement following 28 years of government service. And you leave with a sincere appreciation of FLETC for your service and my personal congratulations for a well-earned retirement. Best wishes for success in your future endeavors. Sincerely, Director Huffman. It's time Director Huffman will now present Deputy Munshi with his official retirement certificate, acknowledging over 28 years of loyal service upon his retirement. Director Huffman will now present the deputy with his official DHS FLETC retirement badge. And now Director Huffman will present the deputy with his aforementioned official retirement flag. And at this time, I would like to invite Ms. Sherry Munshi to join the deputy on center stage, please. Sherry, on behalf of your extended FLETC family, we express our sincerest appreciation and gratitude to you and your family for all your care, support, and the endless sacrifices that contributed to Deputy Munshi's incredible public service career. Once again, let's give a big round of applause for the deputy and his wife and his children. And at this time, we would now like to hear from Deputy Munshi's daughter, Sierra, as she prepares a few remarks. Sierra, the podium is all yours.
So as some of y'all know, I'm Kai and Sherry's youngest and favorite child. I'm really honored to have the opportunity to share a few things about my dad. In fact, the other day, my parents were telling one of their friends about how I'm the familial speaker for the ceremony. Then these friends of theirs immediately asked who was proofing my speech, because apparently I can't be totally trusted on what comes out of my mouth. Even when my dad initially asked me to speak, he was like, make sure not to embarrass me too much. These are my colleagues and friends. With that being said, I'm sorry to say I won't be sharing anything too humiliating. But if y'all want to hear about how my dad calls things bussin' or bussy bus, meet me in the back after the ceremony. My dad has always had the tendency to get fixated on something, whether that's a project he's working on in the garage or what my mom's making for dinner. And when I was around the age of 7, it was fantasy football. Now, I've always been a tad bit dramatic, so naturally I locked myself in the basement closet one night and cried because I thought he was paying more attention to his fantasy league than me. He walks downstairs, sees me cuddled in the corner, and asks me what's wrong. So I tell him, he grabs his phone, and without hesitation deletes the app. To this day, my dad has never played fantasy football again. It was a small gesture, but it meant the world to me. You will never find someone as dedicated as my father. Dedication to his work, his faith, and above all else, his dedication to his family. I see in the way he stands by my mom's side and supports her in her numerous business efforts, the way he's shown up to every swim meet or honors day, the way he helps my sibling fill out job applications, and so much more. In the next month, I'll be moving away and starting my freshman year at UGA. Go Dogs! Yeah. When it comes time to finally start my career, I pray to have the same level of commitment to my job as he does. One trait I admire above his passion and devotion is his humility. My whole life, my dad has worked for the government. Everyone's parents have a job, and most kids don't really think of much of what goes down at work. And it wasn't until a few years ago that I started to realize how truly remarkable he is. We will be doing something, and my dad will just randomly share a story about his time in the Marines or the Secret Service, and these aren't your average stories. Crazy things like skiing black diamonds with the Secretary of Treasury, or, how certain U.S. leaders actually are. I would go more into that, but apparently I'm not allowed to talk about politics either. And after 30 years of these crazy stories, it's a rare occasion that he shares them with us. It's not because he thinks it's normal to have such experiences or that he forgot they even happened. It's simply because he doesn't see himself as special or above anyone else. He's always been the type to downplay his achievements and play up the achievements of others. It's as if he thinks that everyone's story is worth sharing except his own. I lied to you guys earlier. Humility is not just a trait of his, it's his way of life. He's taught me that true strength lies not in what you've accomplished, but in how you treat others along the way. So, Dad, as you embark on this next chapter of your life, I hope you'll find some time to share more of these stories with us. Not because they define you, but because they remind us of the incredible journey you've been on. A journey of humility and dedication. Thank you for showing us that true greatness doesn't need to boast, it simply shines through in the way you live your life. Thank you.
Thank you, Sierra. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. And just going off script for just a second, Deputy, from one girl dad to another one, I will tell you that there's nothing that will be presented to you on this stage today that can measure up to the level of success that a daughter has for her father. That's good stuff. Congratulations. Great job, sweetheart. And now we have a message for the deputy from the floor of the United States House of Representatives. The Honorable Buddy Carter of the Georgia's 1st Congressional District delivered this message in honor of today's ceremony.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to celebrate the career of Kai Munshi, who is retiring from his position as Deputy Director of the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. Deputy Director Munshi's law enforcement career began in August of 2002 as a U.S. Secret Service Special Agent. He helped conduct investigations related to issues such as counterfeit currency, bank fraud, and other financial crimes. Deputy Director Munshi also served in the Special Operations Division Counter-Assault Team, where he led countless protective missions for the President of the United States and other dignitaries domestically and abroad. During his time as Deputy Director, he oversaw training for 125 federal partner organizations. He directed operations across all 4 of FLETC's training delivery points, leading FLETC's administrative, security, financial, mission support, and resource management programs. Thank you to Deputy Director Munshi for your years of dedicated service to this great country. I hope you enjoy your well-earned retirement.
And also in honor of your retirement, that picture will also be flown above the nation's capital for the next. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Blake Stevenson and Mr. Emmett Nolan from Representative Carter's office to present Deputy with an official copy of the congressional record. Also here to present to the deputy is Ms. Kristen Fulford from the office of Senator Warnock. Thank you, everyone. At this time, I'd like to welcome Executive Director Chris Holzer from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Field Operations Academy to deliver a few remarks.
Well, good morning. So, one guy, I don't have anything to present to you, so sorry. Just have to deal with a whole table full of stuff, and thanks for shoehorning me in between your beautiful daughter, the congressional floor, and whatever else comes next. Thanks. No pressure, right? But we're here to celebrate Kai's more than 28 years, right? More than half of his life spent in federal service. I know I see some puzzled looks now, trying to do the math of how's that more. He's way younger than what he looks. Okay, so let's leave it there. But no, seriously, 28 years of public service is nothing short of amazing, right? And again, more than half of his life spent in the service between the military and the federal service. You know, and Director Huffman mentioned some of the roles he's held, you know, some of those titles I'd like to comment on again, right? Marine, Captain, Special Agent, Chief Security Officer first, Assistant Director, Deputy Director, Doctor. He mentioned that. He mentioned that. He didn't mention that one. I see Dr. Brodman's like rolling her eyes. She's heard these before. You know, and I half joke, as our wives will tell you, it's a half joke, right? We call ourselves doctors often, and I say that right as again half joke, because while Dr. Brodman and I don't know if Dr. Sutter was here, I didn't see him, or if he's watching, right, certainly earned their medical degrees through countless years of schooling and experience and everything else, but we always joked we earned them through the school of hard knocks, right? And that was through COVID. The director kind of mentioned some of the pieces of COVID. I'd like to share with it from as someone who's on the inside of it alongside him, right? And so we joked about it, right? Because COVID and what happened here was awful. It was awful all around the world. And a whole lot of great people did a lot of great things to keep operations running, to do the things that FLETC did, and as the director mentioned, throughout law enforcement training, throughout some of the military training throughout the country. But I always say that there was one person that was absolutely the linchpin in all that, and that was absolutely Kai. It was 100% Kai. You know, we would joke and we commiserated through it, right? I remember before we shut down, we had, I think at the time we had 4 cases in the county, I think it was, right? And Kai and I would sit and talk daily and go, oh my God, what are we gonna do when we get a case on base? And then it was almost like, thank God we shut down, because we thought the whole place was gonna burn to the ground. And you know, shut down for a couple of months and come back, and next thing you know, we're back up and running, and we're violating, I'll say, all social norms, because the training we have to do that we need to get done had to violate those norms. I mean, heck, the stories that Kelly could tell you about the mat rooms and things of that nature, it was crazy, right? But we had to do those things. And shortly thereafter, the next thing you know, we have I don't know, 60 cases in Charleston all at once. The place was burning to the ground. But there's Kai. We would talk literally daily, and there he was, calm, cool, collected, volumes of sarcasm attached to everything, right? Who knows him knows that. His sarcasm and wit is probably only matched by his wife, Sherry, maybe. Maybe. I think at times it's fun to watch their sarcasm together. But calm, cool, collected, and figuring out the ways to handle things that nobody ever handled before. Nobody ever had to deal with in any of our shoes, and Kai put it all together and was again, that linchpin. A lot of great people did a lot of great things, but Kai was that linchpin. You know, when I look back on it, I've only known him for about the last almost 7 years, so a quarter of his career. But that to me was absolutely what we dealt with through those things. Was absolutely reflective of the guy over the last 28 years and more, again, right? Because the things he's done throughout his career absolutely are impressive. And we mentioned all those jobs he's had. So either he did great things or just couldn't keep a job. I'm not really sure which, but no, they always were next steps. His jobs were always next steps, and the things he did were just outstanding. And super proud to have known him this last part of his career, and to call him an absolute great friend, because I'm certainly one of my best friends. And the things he's done for this country and for his family, and now to enjoy his retirement, and can't wait to see the things that you guys do in your retirement now. I'm glad to be part of that as well. So just looking forward to that, and thank you for your service, Kai.
Thank you, Chris. Next, we'd like to hear from a former colleague and personal friend, Mr. John Paul Corville. Mr. Corville was Deputy Munshie's platoon sergeant while serving in the United States Marine Corps stationed at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. So, yes, sir.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Jean Paul Corville. It is an honor and privilege to be here today to celebrate our friend's selfless devotion to federal service, Mr. Kai Munshi. Thanks again for having me today. Now, I look around, and I don't believe most of you are listening to what I'm saying yet, because you're looking at this ridiculous contraption on my arm. So I'm going to address the elephant in the room to clear this up so you pay attention to what I have to say about Kai. Haven't seen Kai in person for a while, but last night we had a few drinks. We drank responsibly. We didn't spill a drop. And we got into an argument last night. And when I woke up this morning, I realized that it was over something ridiculous. He clearly got the best of me in the argument. This was what took place. I told him that I wanted to speak about 5 to 7 minutes because I didn't want to monopolize your time. I didn't want you to feel uncomfortable, and I wanted to make sure everyone had their day back to them. Kai looked at me and goes, "To hell with those people. They will sit and listen to my accolades for 45 minutes. I've written it up for you." Needless to say, we disagreed. We got into an altercation. He got the best of me, so I'm here to talk 5 to 7 minutes. So I first met Kai in 1998. We were stationed at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. I was a staff sergeant, a staff non-commissioned officer in the Marine Corps. He was a commissioned officer and my platoon commander. I was still navigating my way through trying to learn what that position meant until I met Kai Munshi, and he became the blueprint of what made me successful in my career. We were both 27 years of age. And at that time in my life, I was very judgmental about anyone that stood in front of me if they didn't have a physical look, they weren't articulate, and they weren't motivated. And I worked for a few that didn't have those things. Then I meet Kai. He's tall, he's good looking, he's articulate, he's humorous, sarcastic, and we bonded immediately. But most importantly, he said, "You don't work for me, you work with me. You carry out my vision, train our Marines to be prepared for warfighting, and you bring any initiative that you want to me." And he honored that every time I had something I wanted to do, and we were paired together. Now, I share that with all of you to say that I retired after 22 years as a sergeant major, which is the senior enlisted rank in the military. And through my 22 years of service, and I retired 11 years ago, and my contracting duties that I had in the Middle East afterwards, and what I do now in the city of Atlanta, I have received accolades on numerous occasions to say, "You and the commanding officer have a unique and incredible relationship." And every time I was given that accolade, I shared the story of the blueprint that he set for me. Think about that. In my 30s and 40s and now 50s, I still think of a 27-year-old man that set me up for success. And I thank you for that, Kai. I apologize. I said I wouldn't get emotional. I know it would. He's a very incredible professional man and friend. An example of that is I have a degree in Homeland Security, and he's not once offered me a job in the entire time we've known each other. So that showcases his line between friendship and professionalism. So what I would like to do right now, to promise something we talked about here, I have two stories I want to share with you about Kai, and one is on his creativity and his maturity. In Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, you are locked on the installation. You can't leave because it's a communist country that surrounds it. So we have to be prepared for the worst. So on the base, there are recreational things that are allowed for Marines and sailors to take involved and spend some time. Quarterly, we're given funding to allow our Marines and sailors to participate. There was a paintball range, but no one used it. Why? Because we did it every day and we trained this way. No one wants to go out there and play paintballs in some range when you do this every day. We only had every other weekend off, so you only had 2 days during that time to do something recreational. Well, Kai came to me and said, here's what I'm thinking. I want to get the paintball guns, the security gear, the safety gear, and the ammunition, and we're going to take this off into the mountains, and we're going to do an offense-defense, and we're going to train our Marines properly for warfighting with the paintballs, because the paintballs won't lie if they set themselves up in a position where they're exposed. Great idea. He had the money authorized, he had it paid for, and we went out there to do it. But before we went out there, we had a safety brief with our Marines, and we told them what was expected. Kai and I were going to be playing infiltrators as Opposition 4, which means we were free to move wherever we want, hide in the bushes, and shoot our Marines and see how they responded. But on the island of Cuba, there is an indigenous rodent called a banana rat that is infested on this island. Think of a rat that's 2 feet long. It is a hideous creature, and it's everywhere. So knowing how our Marines get bored and sometimes immature, we said, if we find one banana rat with paintball colors on it, you are going to have to pay the consequences because there's a serious fine. Well, we go out there. We think every 15 minutes we're going to see Marines and we're going to shoot them. First hour goes by, no Marines come by. We can't find anybody. 2 hours goes by, I start throwing rocks at trees. 3 hours goes by, I hear Kai snoring. 4 hours goes by, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The end of the exercise, not one of our Marines shot a banana rat. I'm very proud of that. However, there were quite a few banana rats running around with paintball colors all over them, and I can't tell you who shot those banana rats out of boredom, but our Marines knew and tried to call us out on it. That is one of my fondest memories with his creativity, and I just followed my leader in that occasion. Maturity. This is something off the installation as friends, because we clearly became friends, and I met his lovely wife Sherry in 1998 as well when she came out to visit in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, which is an incredible experience for her. So years later, I'm stationed in Quantico, Virginia. He's up there for school, along with retired Colonel Jody Lynch. Jody, raise your hand. These two guys were with me in Cuba, and they are cut from the same cloth, phenomenal individual. So we have a date night one night at my house. I was married at the time. We were going to have a movie night with couples, wine, and charcuterie boards. And at that time, Blockbuster Video was popular. You had to go get your movie off the side, and you couldn't wait to see if it was available. And movies didn't come out right away, if you remember, like you stream now. It took a year or two for them to come on video. Well, the ladies, Sherry, Shelley, and my ex-wife, wanted to see The English Patient with Ray Fiennes. Very romantic film. So we go there, Jody, me, and Kai. That was our only task, was to get this movie. But they were all rented out. So we got a little nervous. We went to the counter and said, can you let us know if somebody drops it off, please? So we waited around. Kai takes charge and says, he reads the back of the box. It says, if you like this movie, here are some recommendations to try that are similar. He tasked us to go walk around the store and find similar movies. Kai brings back movies. Jody brings back movies. I bring back one. It was Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo. And if you've seen either movie, there is no comparison between those films. So I show it to Kai, and he looks at it and he goes, hell yeah. So we bring back Deuce Bigalow, Mel Jugalo for a couples night. The ladies drink wine, talk politics and religion in the kitchen, and the three of us watch Deuce Bigalow and laugh like a bunch of 8-year-olds hearing a fart in church. Now, I still believe that Jody and Kai secretly told the wives that it was my idea because I'm the only one that got divorced following that couples night, and they are all still together. So I have so many stories that I could share about Kai, but there's a lot of them that I don't know if I should share, and I mean that in the most polite way. But Kai Munshi, not only congratulations to what you've accomplished in your career for 3 decades as a Marine, Secret Service agent, and now for the Homeland Security, you are an amazing father, husband, friend, and the most important thing for me is a mentor. I'll close with this. In my career, I've had many accolades, but I've made poor choices too. There's a difference between a mistake and a poor choice. Usually a mistake, you have the great intention of something happening and it fails. That's a mistake. Poor choice, you know the consequences. You make the choice anyway and everything falls apart. I've had those things happen to me. And when I look back, I always remember when I failed something or when I succeeded, if I presented this to Kai Munshi, would he tell me, go forward or rethink it or don't do it? And every time I had a failure, I look back and I never thought about what he would have thought before I made the decision. But when I succeeded, it was always met with asking in my mind what he would have thought. And again, that goes back to being a 27-year-old man and what you established with me from that day. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time. Thanks.
That's good stuff. He may not have ever offered you a job, but we have a vacancy that's about to come open in about 2 days. So effective tomorrow at midnight, there'll be a vacancy. All right, at this time, I'd like to welcome Deputy Munshi's flexi colleagues to the stage. Associate Director Aaron Rodini and Assistant Director Chuck Danger will provide a few remarks, followed by the presentation of a gift.
No, they're not all coming up. Okay.
Yeah, the executive team.
Yeah, we want the whole team? Yeah. Yes, we do want the executive team up. General Counsel. That's you?
Chief of Staff.
Where is Chief of Staff? Yep. Almost called up Don. I almost called up Don. Yes, yes. Okay. All right, we've got them. And for those who aren't able to join us today, so we do have some online and on behalf of the ADs who were not able to join us because they're unavailable. I just want to take a moment on behalf of the executive team to not only recognize your contributions to the FLETC and to thank you for all you've done for each of us, both professionally and personally. Your dedication to the FLETC and your years of public service serve as a testament to you as a person. And a lot of people have said this already, but for those of us who work every day with Kai, we witness you as a leader who is humble, kind, and selfless. Your leadership during times of stress have inspired us all to be better leaders and remain focused on this outstanding mission to train the next generation of law enforcement officers. You have created an environment of collaboration, communication, mission focus. Most of all, you care about the workforce, which motivates us all to be better and strive for excellence. On a personal note for each of us up here, you've been a leader, a mentor, a coach, and a friend. And we know that your guidance and friendship will continue long after retirement. So with that, we say thank you. We wish you Sherry, and the girls all the best as you embark on this next chapter. We will miss seeing you every day on center. We'll miss your sense of humor, obviously. And with that, I'd like A.D. Danzer to come up, say a few words, and we do have a gift on behalf of the executive team.
Okay, Dave's here. Deputy, the executive team, we got together and we wanted to get you something very unique to commemorate your time as a friend and a colleague, as a leader and mentor. And it's a token of our appreciation to you, and we hope that you'll, when you look at it years from now, that you'll remember your time here and all of your friends who love you and respect you. And so congratulations. Okay, Tracy, let's bring it out.
Should we slide down so we can make sure we do an eye on that side? We'll go on this side. We'll go on this side.
Oh, wow, this is amazing. Look at this. For the audience. Wow, this is incredible. That is awesome. Thank you. I thought there was money on it. That is amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, senior staff. Former FLETC Director Thomas J. Walters wanted to be here today, but thanks to technology, we still got him. So at this time, we're going to hear some remarks from D6.
Hello, everybody. Tom Walters here. Thank you, Director Huffman and the Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers for giving me this opportunity to publicly add my congratulations and best wishes for all the accolades of all the many other members of the Kai Munshi fan club. Kai, congratulations on your retirement from federal service, and congratulations too to the Munshi family, Sherry, Ray, and Sierra. Now, Kai and I worked together at FLETC for 6 years, and as he prepares for his next chapter in life, I just have to publicly acknowledge and appreciate and applaud Kai's FLETC accomplishments. You know, the Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers was really extremely fortunate to bring Kai on. He was the right leader at the right time for FLETC. Kai was a key player in virtually all of the major issues that affected the Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers from 2017 through 2023. I think we all counted on Kai to take on any task and to excel at whatever that task happened to be, and he never let us down. During his time in FLETC, Kai, he reshaped FLETC's security division, led FLETC's technical training operations director, and Kai finally capped his career at FLETC by taking on the task of deputy director of the entire organization. Now, you may be familiar with how Kai earned the titles of chief and assistant director and deputy director, but you may not know how Kai earned the unofficial title of Dr. Munshi. Now, everybody at FLETC rose to the occasion during the pandemic, but Dr. Munshi was the closest to the brutality and the everyday realities of managing the pandemic issues involving the students and the staff and statistics, as well as the analysis and reporting that allowed FLETC and DHS leadership to make good decisions during the crisis. Because Kai led by example, he inspired literally thousands of staff members from FLETC and the participating organizations, as well as people in the community to volunteer to participate in FLETC's highly successful pandemic screening, testing, and vaccination drives. And that, my friends, is how Kai earned the title Dr. Munshi. On a serious note, from my perspective, I can tell you that Kai was indispensable to FLETC in the role of deputy director. Kai was FLETC's and my go-to person for interaction with every DHS headquarters component, including the deputy secretary and the deputy secretary's office. With FLETC's assistant directors, the leaders of the local community, and the leaders of the local community on which so much of FLETC's success always depends. Kai would not allow himself to be tied to his office or chained to his computer or preoccupied with his cell phone. Kai emphasized establishing personal contact with his people. He made a point of getting out of the office and interacting face-to-face with the staff in their working environment. Sherry, Ray, and Sierra, Kai let us all at FLETC know on a regular basis how proud he was of all of you and how much he appreciated your support. I don't know for sure, but I suspect the Munshi family is excited to move on to a life where the federal government is not at the center of your lives. And I wish you all well. Let me close with this. Kai, my retirement wish for you is this. May your retirement be filled with equal measures of anticipation and accomplishment. So vaya con Dios y buena suerte, amigo.
True test of retirement has been 6 months. If he has a beard just like that, we'll know it's working. All right, thank you to all our presenters and guests for taking the time to share your memories, tributes. It's been a good time, but we're starting to wind things down. But right now we have a very special video that we want to show.
This world I see, it calls to me. I hear its voice, make my choice. Yesterday This world I see, it calls to me. I hear its voice. Time unwinds words and rhymes here in this wonderland. Hopes and dreams play their themes here in this wonderland. Wonderland.
I was not allowed to speak at the ceremony, so I had to send in a video. Have to have the last word, of course. One of the reasons you probably did not have me speak at the ceremony is because I would be gushy and on about how amazing you are, what a great leader you are, what a great dad you are, what a great husband you are. Well, all of that is true, and then some. I am so incredibly lucky, words can't even say how you just amaze me every day. I love you so much, words can't even say. So proud of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the man of the hour, Deputy Director Kai Munshi, to the stage.
All right. I told, I think the director mentioned I didn't want to do this, but I want to be the center of attention, but I got to tell you, this feels pretty good. Kind of like it. But Kelly, thank you for emceeing this event. Thanks to Stan, Moran, the CBP Honor Guard, amazing OPA team for their outstanding work and support. Special thanks, Tracy, to you. I've driven you as crazy as I've driven Sherry leading up to today, and all your efforts. I really appreciate it, Tracy. Thank you very much. Director Huffman, JP, Chris, and especially Sierra, thank you very much for those kind and humbling words. It means a great deal to me. And I also appreciate our community leaders, representatives from Senator Warnock and Representative Carter's office, for joining us. You're here for most of our major events, and on behalf of the entire FLETC team, we just really appreciate that. Appreciate your support, appreciate your partnership. And thanks to all of you, both here and online that might be watching, including my parents, Carol and Joel, that couldn't travel. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you being here. And also, we've got some out-of-town guests, some familiar faces, Jay and Mary Gregorius. Jay was the ADT 1.0 before Rick and now Ariana, so thank you guys for being here. Jody Lynch and Greg Corbett are here as well. So Jody and Greg and I served in the Marines together. We were lieutenants, kind of grew up in the Marines, and then Jody followed me to, that's what I like to say anyway, Jody followed me to Guantanamo Bay, so you guys mean the world to me, as well as our other buddies, that core group of guys, and just amazing honor that you're here. And Melissa Person is our guest that traveled the furthest to be here all the way from California. And Melissa, you've become a dear friend of ours. You mean the world to me. And Melissa's late husband, Jesse, and I served together in the Marines. And Jesse was a great man, great leader, great friend. And I miss him and think about him all the time. And just having you here, Melissa, is amazing. So, all right. Dose some sarcasm in here to pull myself together. But so I recently, I've thought a lot about what I want to say, and I'm going to keep this short, I promise, because we're going over a little bit here. But I came across this quote from this ancient Greek politician, military general named Pericles. And that's, in case you're wondering what I do on my free time, I sit around and I read the musings of ancient Greeks. So Pericles, this is what he said: "What you leave behind is not what is engraved in the stone monuments, but is woven into the lives of others." And as I stand here at the end of this road and I look back, I'm not thinking of my own legacy, what I've done in that. I'm thinking of all of you. I'm thinking of the countless people that have shaped my life over the past 3 decades. And whatever I've accomplished professionally that was mentioned, I owe everything to those individuals that have supported me. And so for me this morning, this opportunity is it's not about me. It's about all of you and everyone else that can't be here, and just to try my best to express the deep gratitude that I have for each and every one of you. So at this point, this list I talk about, you're probably wondering, is my name on the list? Yeah. This loser sitting next to me, is their name on the list, right? So I can assure you, I want to put your mind at ease. If you are here this morning, your name is on the list, and I have already gone through and crossed off whoever didn't bother showing up. So, all right. But there is one individual at the top of this list that I need to pay special recognition to. And she's been by my side through some really difficult times. My rock, my best friend, my confidant. Whenever I come home, always happy, always wagging her tail and barking. The car drives up, but they don't allow emotional support animals on center, so I was not able to bring Layla with me this morning. But just kidding, Sherry, just kidding. You, my dear, are at the top of the list, and I'm going to tell a little story here. It's a story from my life, and a chapter, most important one. So I've got this distinct memory from my senior year of high school in 1989. And I was scrolling through the yearbook, and I came across this picture, this girl, and she had these giant hoop earrings you could play basketball with, and this big 80s hair. And I thought to myself, this is a true story. In 1989, when I looked at this picture, I thought, that is a really pretty girl. That is a beautiful girl. And I wonder, she never talked to me. I was kind of a loser back then. But anyway, so I'd never met her. I had no idea who she was, no idea what her name was, what her deal was, anything. Fast forward to 1998. I was coming back from Hawaii, where I was stationed with 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marines. And I had about 30 days of leave before I got shipped down to Guantanamo Bay. And I got set up on a blind date by my parents and Sherry's parents. And so we went on this very awkward date with both sets of parents, right? As a lieutenant in the Marines, 30-something, I was, 28 years old at the time, 27 years old. And here I am on a arranged blind date with my parents. And we had an amazing time, obviously. We're still together, right? It was the best time of Sherry's life, actually, is what she said. So The day after, and then we went on a date together. I think a couple weeks later, just the two of us, minus the parents. And the morning after that date, I was not with Sherry. Carla's Sherry's mother, who's here. That's her cell phone, by the way, that was ringing at the beginning. But the next morning, and Carla, I was not with Sherry the next morning after our date, but I walked her politely as a gentleman to her door the night before. So I got on a plane the very next morning after that first solo date that we had together. I got on a plane down to Gitmo. And I remember telling my buddy Jody, I said at some point after that, I said, yeah, Jody, I'm telling him about Sherry, and I said, yeah, I'm going to marry that girl someday. And that's the best decision I ever made. And she has endured a lot over this career. As we all know, our spouses, our family, they endure a lot, time away from home. And she's traveled this road, every pothole, every winding turn, she's been there. And just an amazing mother, amazing wife, amazing friend. You know, deployments away from home, weeks away from home, and I would come back, and she'd never complain about it. And when she did, I just remind her that I'm out protecting her freedom, and it comes at a cost. You know? So I don't know what to tell you, sweetheart, but someone's got to do it. But you know, words just can't express how much I love you and how much I appreciate you. And my kids, Sierra and Ray, I'm just so incredibly proud of you. You're resilient, you're strong, you've got great ambition, you're both great leaders in your own way, and I love you so much. And you guys, you three, mean the world to me. So those are the three at the top of the list, and the dog is somewhere up there as well. And it would take me hours to go through the rest of that list, hours, and I'm not going to torture you with that. But I do want to kind of share some general thoughts that I have about public service, and in doing so, I hope that I properly convey the appreciation that I have for not just the people I serve with, but for my friends, my family, and the community. So in the context of public service, that quote from Pericles has a lot of meaning as well. And we do something unique as public servants, and that is to take the oath of office. And that oath is more than just words that we check a box with. That oath is a sacred covenant that we take with the American people, a promise that we will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that we bear true faith and allegiance to the same. And since I was a 22-year-old Marine officer, I have administered and I have taken that oath more times than I can remember. I have the words memorized. I know what they mean. I think about them often. And when I came into this position, I also insisted that we do that oath in person. At the time, we're doing it virtually. We used to do it in person, then did it virtually. I said, we're going to bring people back to do that. We're going to make it ceremonious. So that's the what we do as public servants, right? And when we come into public service, we say, well, I want to protect the country. I want to serve a higher purpose than myself. That's what motivates most of us to go into public service. That's the what, but that's not the why. The why, to me, is profoundly simpler. The why we serve, why we sacrifice, why we put ourselves out there is because we love one another. And that develops from just being in the trench line next to somebody and suffering and grinding it out. You develop this bond that is inexplainable unless you experience it. That's the why. And you know, as law enforcement, military professionals, I truly believe, and I see it day in and day out, that what drives us to continue fighting, persevering, regardless of the personal sacrifice and personal circumstance, and even the personal risk, is one another, because we care about one another. That's more than ideology. That's more than this notion of freedom and democracy. That ideology is nothing. It means nothing unless we love each other, unless we care about each other, unless we take care of each other. And so the whole, I believe, you know, this thin blue line, we've all heard of that, right? This thin blue line that represents the border between chaos and order. And that thin blue line is what keeps this country together. I believe that. And what the strength of that line is, if we think of that as a thread, is really the compassion that we have for one another. So what I'm trying to say in all that is that I love you, all right? But before you get all weirded out by that statement, just know I may love you, but I don't like all of you, all right? So if that makes you feel good. And I have that list somewhere here as well. So beyond that what and that why of public service, there's also the how. And every day that we wake up, we have to put the uniform on and we come to work, we have two choices. One is we can pursue excellence. We can pursue excellence for one another. We can pursue excellence to live out that promise, that oath that we took to the American people. Or we can embrace mediocrity to the detriment of one another and the detriment of this great nation that we serve. Those are the two choices that we have. And time again, throughout my career, I've been surrounded, immersed in groups and teams of people that drive excellence, that consistently, without question, put themselves ahead of others. And in some of those walks of life, worked alongside and served alongside people that would lay their life down for me without hesitation and without question. I would do the same for them. So that's the only thing that matters to me, is those relationships, the only thing. And professional accomplishments, it doesn't mean anything. When I tell stories, the few that I tell at home, and when I get together with friends that don't do what I do, I don't talk about what I accomplish at work. I don't talk about my positions. I talk about the people I serve with, people that I love, and that's all of you. And this team, this FLETC team, one of the best. I would put us up against any team in the federal government, and we would crush it. I have watched over 7 years, just the amazing things that this organization has done, and I have an unbelievable utmost respect for each and every one of you, regardless of what you do here, what your position is. Everyone is equally important. So that's it. I appreciate the ride. It's been great, and whatever I can do to support you, I'm here, and don't hesitate 24/7, whatever you need, except for money. I'll be retired on a fixed income soon. So keep looking out for one another. Keep doing great things for America. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. You'll be missed. At this time, Deputy Chief of Staff David Christie will deliver our benediction.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Dixon. I invite those of you who are so inclined to join me in this benediction. I'll be praying in the Christian tradition. Heavenly Father, your word tells us in the book of Ecclesiastes that there's a time and a purpose for everything under heaven. And Psalm 37 tells us that the steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord. So as we conclude this ceremony, we confess we are sad to see Deputy Director Munshi leave us. But at the same time, we recognize your hand in the timing of his departure. And we gratefully acknowledge that your hand has ordered his steps right up until this moment here today. We ask and trust that you will continue to lead and to guide him, his wife Sherry, and their daughters Caitlin, Ray, and Sierra, as they turn this page and start a new chapter in their lives. As you have watched over Kai during these past 28 years of service, we ask that you continue to walk by his side in the future. Fill him with wisdom, peace, and success in new endeavors and new ministries, and we ask that you continue in like manner to guide and to bless each of us as we leave this place today. In the just and holy name of your Son, Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Dave. So on behalf of Deputy Director Kai Munshi, our colleague, our friend, thank you. You'll be missed. Your impact obviously has been felt not only here in the FLETC family, but around the country. And that measure of impact is something to be proud of for you and your family, so thank you. We know that Deputy Munshi will continue to serve in his community. Preacher, he's wide open for Vacation Bible School whenever you need him. Yeah. Sherry, he's all yours, so enjoy. No return policies. But on behalf of the director and the entire Flexi family, it's been an honor to see everybody. Thank you all so much. I know it means a lot to the deputy for you to come and honor this day, and it is a day of celebration, and it's something that we don't do often enough or well enough, is that we celebrate each other's accomplishments. So Director, or Deputy Director, you left quite the impact, and you will sincerely be missed. Thank you. This concludes our service. Thank you.